This video was created to thank every single person who contributed to DEI success at the UMSN during the 2020-2021 academic year. There are major DEI accomplishments over the most recent strategic plan period, extending back to 2016. During 2016, the UMSN hired its first Chief DEI Officer, and with support of the Dean and UMSN leadership, began building its DEI infrastructure and processes. The building and planning phase extended through the year too, with the establishment of signature UMSN DEI initiatives, including our Brave Space, Science Learning Circles, and UMSN Gateway Fellowships for students interested in a DNP or PhD. During year 3, we focused on building a shared sense of DEI identity within the school, particularly as it relates to how DEI work is an inextricable part of the daily work for each and every role within the UMSN. During year 4, our focus was on furthering community engagement and buy-in before we had to quickly pivot in response to COVID-19. Despite significant challenges to DEI over the course of the last year, our school was still able to establish several new DEI initiatives. Because of your collective efforts, the school has also achieved increasing margins of diversity and retention. For example, our faculty and staff are more diverse now than they have been in the past. Also, our BSN program has been steadily diversifying since 2016, and our student progression rates overall, as well as when disaggregated by important indicators of diversity, have also been increasing. These are your successes, but as we all know, we have a long way to go, and our work is nowhere near complete. We hope each of you individually will take time to reflect on those DEI accomplishments and activities that you are most proud of, and also identify areas where you'd like to participate in moving our community further forward. COVID-19 presented the UMSN with several DEI-related challenges. Our school had to support students to develop individual plans to continue their studies at UMSN. We also had to respond quickly and efficiently when students shared struggles with access to basic necessities, such as consistent paychecks or virtual learning technologies. Students were also experiencing a great deal of emotional stress. Their challenges were diverse and complex, from working clinically on the front lines, sudden family changes, or relocating from their homes. Faculty and staff also had needs as they adjusted to increased professional, personal, and social demands. Our community found ourselves separated, forcing us to develop new habits of communication. In addition to COVID-19, we also responded to ongoing national unrest. Issues rooted in anti-Black racism, gross abuses of power, repeals on LGBT and women's rights, the realities and images of migrant children living in heartbreaking conditions at the border, increases in anti-Asian violence, and a continuing ban on Muslims all impacted UMSN community members. An amazing team of volunteer faculty and staff quickly assembled to email each and every BSN student individually, even throughout their weekends, to check in and let students know their school cares about them. Our anti-racism values are a huge source of pride at the UMSN, spanning from the founding of both the Future Black Healthcare Professional Student Group and the Faculty and Staff of Color Work Group, to anti-racism trainings across the large UMSN cohort and the Center for Sexuality and Health Disparities. Our virtual science learning circles also continued to meet virtually this year. Additionally, our first ever August pre-PhD Institute and academic year extension analytics and writing coaching program pivoted to a virtual format. We also continued the student-run, peer-facilitated Brave Space conversations virtually. This year also saw the development of new student-led organizations. This academic year, we also established several DEI groups for and led by UMSN faculty and staff. The undergraduate peer mentoring program also pivoted to a virtual format with over 180 student participants. Several UMSN faculty and staff members offered to serve as student mentors this year. They were often linked to students through participation in DEI groups. Thank you, mentors, for being leaders students can really talk with, sharing successes, dreams, goals, challenges, and needs. The inclusive teaching liaisons also continued to meet virtually. Sessions were devoted to anti-racism in teaching, a large data collection project which engaged over 70% of our undergraduate faculty, and planning for a new anti-racism focused Common Read project for the coming academic year. This year, we welcomed several major DEI speakers to the UMSN, including the president of the National Association of Hispanic Nurses, Alana Cueto, in an event moderated by Dr. Sean McCabe. This was significant in that our Hispanic community is one of our fastest growing student of color groups. We also virtually welcomed Dr. Martha Dawson, president of the National Black Nurses Association, in a session moderated by Dr. Jade Burns, and we also hosted 2 viewings of the film Good Trouble in a tribute to the late John Lewis. Other speakers included Dr. Claire Valderrama Wallace, who delivered a provocative talk on decolonizing nursing education, moderated by Dr. Patricia Tillman-Meekins. Dr. Chris Fries connected the UMSN with the office of Dr. Rachel Levine, who recently accepted the post of Assistant Health Secretary for the United States in a session moderated by Dr. Rob Stevenson during Transgender Awareness Week. Our final event welcomed Dr. Joni Caldoun, Chief Medical Executive for the state of Michigan, in a session moderated by Dr. Jade Burns. Despite challenges associated with COVID-19, we were still able to strongly engage our community in events, virtual group gatherings, and other programming sessions. For the immediate future, priorities include pivoting again to a hybrid DEI infrastructure, engaging our community in evaluation efforts, and developing the next 5-year DEI plan, and working to gain additional buy-in for DEI amongst our students, faculty, and staff. The DEI staff has given to our community from our hearts, going above and beyond to support and strengthen our shared identity and commitment around DEI. We'd also like to acknowledge and thank Dr. Patricia Coleman-Burns for serving year after year as our School of Nursing DEI Strategic Plan co-lead, as well as Dean Hearn and the rest of UMSN leadership for centering our culture and doing the work of developing sustainable pipelines since the beginning of our plan. Thank you.